after a relaxing bath when finally stepped out of the washroom, wrapping her body in a towel. She peeked into the bedroom. She was looking for Taehyung, but as she noticed the study room's light was on, she guessed he might be busy, probably having some urgent phone call. The weather outside the window was fine. It was about to sunset. When looked outside the window and then looked at the study room, and coincidentally exchanged an eye contact with Tae. He noticed her. She was blankly staring at the outside before the rice mat. He gestured her to change into dry clothes. Actually, he wanted to surprise her with the new closet he set up for her. She walked into the closet area to find something to wear, but she was startled. She was used to with Tae's clothes hanging from the hangers, but this time most of the closet were filled with girls' clothing. She cursed under her breath as she wanted to wear something comfortable, oversized. She looked around and saw Tae's t-shirt were kept in a corner. She opened the drawer where she usually kept her 3 pairs of undergarments, and this time she was shocked. It was filled with many pairs of that. Gwen was confused. Maybe his mom uses that particular brand's. I just switched to Calvin Klein and the drawer is filled with that. Strange. She didn't dare to touch any of the new things as she didn't have any idea whose those things were. Just took from the small collection she owned and walked into the area where these clothes were kept. You didn't like the clothes? They peeked into the closet area. You like those flares and prints and vibe-giving clothes? When asked question instead of answering him. You don't like prints and all those words you just used to objectify my choice of clothing? He asked, and this time he narrowed his eyes as when had taken one of his t-shirts she used to wear. I like, but I don't know whether I'm suitable for this girly dress in my everyday life. I mean, these are piece of beauty and only wearing this, I would definitely not justify with the beauty of this dress, and I don't want to apply loads of products on my face. Like, I love my skin and I'm quite satisfied and used to with the track pants and t-shirt. I mean, these are practical. She tried to justify herself as she guessed they arranged the closet only for her. Oh, they simply nodded and opened a random drawer. And what about this? Don't tell me you don't wear this. What? When asked in disbelief, yeah, these are same size and same brand that you use, they smirked. Okay, we need to discuss something. Please have a seat, Mr. Husband. When patted on the chair and gestured him to be seated. They was about to sit on the chair when Wen started. I know. Do you know how expensive these are? Like each? And how did you know that these are exactly same size that I wear? It wasn't costly at all. I mean, these are samples. They tried to justify himself, but he knew he was not gonna be spared by her. Oh yeah? Why the company Calvin would send you samples? And how did you know my size? How you told them what you wanted to buy? When frowned. I just had clicked a pic of the tag of your undergarment. They could feel his throat become dry. Yeah, that would work, but I hope you haven't said that you're buying for your wife, right? Wen was convinced partially by Tae's answer. I didn't say them anything and I wasn't asked this question too. They gained some confidence before answering her. Who didn't ask you the question? It means you bought all of this. Wen tricked him. Yes, I bought this. Bought this for my wife. I didn't have time and you were struggling with only 3 pairs of this, Miss Kang Wan. These are for Mrs. Kim Wan. Do you have any problem with that? They started sniffing her neck area and unintentionally he had touched her sweet spot. His words, his actions were enough to melt her into his embrace. I won't lie, Van. I won't lie, Van. I actually loved when I saw my t-shirt in your hand. I actually loved that, but will you wear one of these? Van tried her best to act like she was still angry. There's no reason to dress up just to have a plain porridge. But she was already in Tay's embrace. What's about a long drive after the porridge party? I won't put on makeup. That's final, she spoke. I'm not planning to taste those artificial things too. They spoke while helping her to gather all her hairs to tie a loose ponytail. He grabbed the hem of the t-shirt she was wearing and took that off in a blink, and she managed to hide her in his embrace. I like these marks on your body. I know I shouldn't, but I'm getting addicted, Van. His husky voice actually sounded too tempting. They took the chance and started nibbling one of the biggest marks he imprinted. Apparently, the biggest one. The tingling sensation, the soft pain literally forced her to, and that was something they wanted to hear. After some time, she opened her eyes, sensing some exposure of light in the room. Before she could guess Tay's plan, he turned her to face the mirror. I know it's your 4th day. You are not as numb as you were a few days ago. Am I right, Yogo? There was a hint of gentle smile on his face, but his arms were too strong. He was overpowering Wan, who was trying to put all her efforts to hide herself in his embrace. What are you ashamed of? They asked. His tone was damn serious. Wan opened her eyes. Of yourself? He gently shrugged his shoulder. Look at me, Wan. You don't like my marks on your skin? You don't like when I mark you? Tell me. Answer me, Van. They was about to lose his mind, though Van kept shaking her head to deny that. Word, Van. I want to hear your answer. They was panting in anger. Her almost not audible no didn't reach his ears, and she knew only a loud no wasn't enough for Tay. She needed to calm him down. Attaching her lips to Tay's soft ones, she gently kissed him. Tay didn't stop her, yet didn't respond her immediately. He was still panting. It took a few moments to calm himself down. Wan took her time to kiss him. She gently sucked and then softly nibbled. These marks you made on me are my pride. These are the proof how my husband satisfied me last night. How my husband had controlled himself and stepped back from there as I was bleeding, and he didn't forget that. When intended to break them, but they didn't let her to do so. He started responding. I don't have that much courage to face the mirror in front of you. Wan forcefully hid her face in his embrace. Let's check yourself with me. They gently pecked on her forehead and gently turned her to face the mirror. Raise your hands. While checking her, his fingers were gently applying adequate amount of pressure in every square inch of it, which was actually needed, but the touch was gentle. His touch obviously raised her heartbeat, but the reason was the swelling that was just discovered on the right side of her chest. Hands on your waist. His tone was gentle. His husky voice just sounded comfortable. It wasn't enough, and he had consciously controlled his voice this time. "Does it pain?" he asked. "No, not really. I didn't feel any kind of pain. I just discovered this thing a few days ago." When answered, and they nodded. When looked at the mirror, she looked at his reflection, how he was looking at her area, the way he was scrutinizing. When understood how concerned he was, there was no hint of in his gaze. "Isn't it normal to have swelling?" when asked. They silently nodded. Taking a powdered pink colored from the drawer, he placed that on the chest area. "Pass your arm through the armhole." When obediently did that, but her mind was already in a haze. How one person could be so gentle, so careful, so thoughtful? While clasping her, "Wear whatever you wanna wear, my clothes are yours. We are going to enjoy the afternoon." "But it's already evening." One's tone was disappointing, but in a flash, she reminded his recent actions, how carefully he examined her, how gentle he was looking. She couldn't stop herself from blushing. Obviously, they noticed that. "I promise, we will do that, but to compensate, we still can enjoy the scenery of warm skin after sunset." When nodded, she could guess they was planning something, but she couldn't guess what he was planning. She knew they would never tell her until he would be done with all the execution procedure, so she chose to be quiet and didn't ask him anything. After a small porridge party, they quickly got ready and got into the car. "Where are we going?" the passenger princess asked while securing herself with the seatbelt. "What about a long drive?" They answered, but one wasn't satisfied with the answer, as he was checking the time frequently. "Grocery shopping?" When tried to guess. "You want something from the convenience store?" he asked while his eyes were fixed on the road. "Ice creams?" Well looked at him for the approval. "If you are having cold, even slightly, I recommend you should avoid anything cold. It would be good for your eyes and also for the swelling, but if you are completely fine, then you can go for as much as you want." His eyes were still fixed on the road. "As much as I want?" She unintentionally mimicked Tay's tone, in disbelief. But surprisingly, they nodded and repeated, "As much as you want. We can store in the refrigerator." And the car was stopped in front of an ice cream center, which wasn't too far from their apartment, and once detective mode was activated, she just couldn't believe what was happening. "Which flavor do you want?" she managed to ask. He mentally counted. "For Jungkook, bring some mint chocolate chip." "Mint chocolate chip? We can refrigerate some toothpaste." Van interrupted, but they surprisingly didn't frown, and that made Van frown. They continued, "And we are gonna have some basic vanilla strawberry chocolate and some mocha banana green tea, hot chocolate peach mango. What's about some cookie dough and caramel ice cream?" "You mean every flavor available in the store?" Van raised her brows. They nodded and shrugged his shoulders. "And I forgot, maybe last but not the least at all, your favorite. I should know what you love too." He casually handed her his black coat. "I'm going to park the car. Once we are done, we need to rush, otherwise everything will be melting." They looked at him in disbelief but remembered how she first told him that she wanted to buy some ice cream. Join me. What if I forgot any of the flavors? I know you won't, but still I will join you as soon as possible. He smiled and took the car to the parking area. She entered into the ice cream parlor and requested to pack the basic flavors. After that, she looked at the flavors and tried to figure out whether they told her to pick that flavored ice cream or not. She was in confused state when they joined her. Wow, you have done a great job. Just pick the vanilla, strawberry and chocolate. We're already done with those classic ones. Don't worry, Kim. When casually answered and walked towards the cash counter and scanned the QR code for the payment. And that made they frowned. They wanted to ask many things. He had many questions that would definitely create a scene, and he was aware of that fact. So, he stopped himself from asking her the questions. Taking the ice creams from the counter, he walked out of the ice cream parlor. Wen was looking at him. Maybe he's rushing cause there are too many ice creams and it would not taste good once it's melted. She shrugged her shoulder and went out of the shop. Wen opened the door of the car and secured herself in the passenger seat. She could feel Tej's intense gaze that was focused on her. Is somebody going to join us? She asked in a normal tone. No, he answered and ignited the engine. Why didn't you use my card? But you gave me that. Now that card belongs to me, and as it's a black card means I would definitely not spend a single penny, and you are not allowed to do so too. And what I must do is showing up the card in canteen. Nice excuse, Kim. They taunted. Do you even have friends in your department? That doesn't matter. I'm an angel and I don't fly close to toxic people. They would break my wings, and don't forget, the students in the university can see. And I said I want to show off the black card. She mimicked the tone of Taehyung. She paused for a moment. Wait a minute. What did you think? I would return you the card after shopping. I would, but only if you told me to do so when you had given me the card. You just handed me the card and told nothing. Nothing was clarified. I thought you gave me that card. Wen paused for a moment and looked at Tae, who didn't say anything, but she felt like he was trying to suppress his smile. Kim, look at me. Wen ordered, but in a confused tone, and they glanced. Have I asked you for the card? No? Then why did you walk out from the shop without me? In 1 second, the whole ice cream would not melt. And even if it melted, so what? Who told you to buy so many? Wen wasn't looking at them. Her eyes were also fixed on the road. You are going to be surprised, for sure. They smiled and glanced at the passenger's seat. He gently pinched her cheek. You should look at me all the time. You self-obsessed Kim. Wen realized she had no reason to be angry and they were already in their parking area. She noticed an apparently new car was parked. She had seen the car long ago. Looking at the number plate of the car, she could calculate the car was registered a long time ago. She tried to remember where she had seen the car. Surprisingly, they held her hand and casually walked into the house. She realized all the lights were on. Your mom? She was too surprised to understand what was happening inside the house. She could sense more than one person's existence. Your dad came too? She almost whispered, but In the night, buying ice creams of so much quantity, the oddly familiar car wasn't blending with the arrival of only Tay's mom and dad. She noticed there was no trace of shoes while changing into slippers. They noticed her. Come on, we need to rush. The ice creams have started melting. When nodded, and they both shared bags. When noticed, a hint of smile was on Tay's lips. Maybe he is still thinking about whatever I have told him about the court. Tay's smirk gradually turned into a mischievous grin. When tried to assemble all the odd things she was been noticing. Help me, just open the door of the refrigerator. Suppressing his smile, they asked for help. Honestly, he was enjoying looking at the confused Van who was trying to figure out the whole thing. Has anyone come? Mom, Dad, they're busy, so they couldn't come. They was trying his best to control his smile. Van headed towards the refrigerator and opened the door. The crisper drawer area of the refrigerator was filled with vegetables. What the? She gasped. She noticed. Overall, the fridge was filled with fruits and vegetables, and all the chocolates she bought were not there. She checked the freezer area and it was all empty. No, she wasn't angry at all because of her chocolate were not there. But she was angry because she knew they would definitely make her to eat veggies and fruits. She noticed the busy cooking area and it took no time to figure out that the Bangtan boys were in the house. She looked at Tay. He was arranging the ice cream, but the smile line on his face was enough for Van to understand that he knew everything. Many dishes were already served, but she couldn't see any one of them. Tay, where is Jinokpa? Van directly asked him. She noticed a broad-shouldered man back-facing her. His one hand was busy stirring the food on the stove. After that, he quickly put on the hoodie he was holding. He stepped towards the living area and sat on the couch. You just forgot about Jinoppa when you decided to sign on the marriage registration papers. You just skipped Jinoppa like I never existed. His words were sharp enough to stab her. I'm sorry, Oppa. I didn't know whether you would accept me as his mate or not. You are not Taehyung's mate, you are his lawful wife. Learn to pronounce properly. Jin was angry, but as he saw her looking at the floor, his anger melted instantly. Oppa is worried for you, Van. Jin embraced her. You are blaming me, but you know that I don't even dare to ask you whether you need water. You could say this to Taehyung. When complained. Taehyung, who had already taken a seat, finally spoke. They have already scolded me and they are worried about you. Oppa, it was so sudden. I did nothing and the doctor said that I just need to follow the restrictions. When informed Jin about her condition. I heard you stopped Taehyung from informing me. Is it true? Yoongi's voice was heard from the kitchen area where Yoongi and Hobi was busy garnishing the food. Yoongi's voice was enough for Van to tremble on her spot. Jin noticed and patted on her shoulder gently. Van broke the embrace and stepped into the kitchen area. Are we celebrating something? Hobi smiled. Your marriage, cutie. Now call the rest of your oppas. Before Van started searching, she sensed some movement in the study area. She quickly hugged Yoongi and Hobi before heading towards the study. In the study room, Namjoon was reading something when he heard Van's voice. Oppa. Namjoon sighed. Then, before he could put the book on the table, she almost jumped into his embrace. How are you? Are you angry too? No, Namjoon exhaled. Then let's go. And they had bought the mint chocolate ice cream. When almost dragged the 181 centimeter tall man. Namjoon, Yoongi, Hobi, Tae, Jin, everyone gathered in the dining area when someone pressed the correct pin code to unlock the door. It was Jimin. Honestly, one guessed that it was a Bangtan boys gathering, but she had no idea whether everyone has arrived or not. But as Jimin's handsome figure was revealed, she got up from her seat and went to welcome him. When it wasn't an unknown person to the Bangtan boys, the fact was she just never participated actively and had always skipped any direct conversation with them. She was a familiar face to the Bulletproof boys. Jimin actually had no idea that the cute girl she saw to grow up was married to Tae. Hyung, I'm hungry, Jimin whined, though the dinner was served and he could identify his plate, but the maknae needed some pampering. Yoongi patted on his shoulder, digging, and took the seat beside him. How was your trip? Good, but where's Cook? Jimin's eyes were searching for the maknae. Is he playing with Yeontan? Anio, Yeontan is in Busan. Yoongi was about to take his first bite. Goyangi? Deoppa? When immediately responded. Dial Jungkook's number from my phone and tell him to join us. Yoongi concentrated on his food. Wen did so, but Cook didn't receive the call. When Wen informed that they finally spoke, he must be in the bedroom. Go, call him. Wen nodded, but everyone noticed Wen's face when she was told to call Cook. She silently headed towards the bedroom, and Jimin looked at Tae. Don't tell me, Taehyung, that Wen is your wife. They smiled and nodded yes. Jungkook knows that? Jimin wanted to hear a yes from Tae, but as he shook his head and uttered no, he almost got choked. That big bunny would never lose a chance to bully her. And you told her to call Jungkook? They uncapped the bottle of water before giving that to Jimin. Cook could never lose a chance to bully you too. Wen is my wife and Cook is my brother. They should learn to coexist. They might have not communicated with each other properly, but they will. On the other side, the door wasn't opened, yet it wasn't locked from inside. But she didn't dare to knock. Wen peeked into the bedroom and saw Jungkook was sleeping. He wasn't looking annoying, but definitely exhausted. Wen knew she must be gentle while waking up someone, as this time the someone was none other than the bunny. She couldn't stop herself from knocking on the door, but as expected, no response. May I come in? Wen loudly asked for permission, but the exhausted bunny was still sleeping. Oppa? She called him standing on his bedside, but still she got no reply. She was aware of Cookie's sleeping pattern, so she wasn't surprised at all, and she knew exactly how she could wake him up. She inhaled deeply before sprinkling some water on Jungkook and quietly stood beside the bed. She sighed in satisfaction, seeing Jungkook's eyebrows being arched. Gradually, he opened his eyes and noticed Wen. Kang Goyangi? He uttered her name. No one is waiting for you. Everyone is exhausted and no one means no one. If the food gets cold for another time, no one will be there to take the bowl from the microwave, and I forgot. There is ice cream in the freezer? Sorry, I don't think there will be any leftover. Wen knew how to trigger Cook's mood. You still haven't started taking spoonful of honey, Kang Goyangi. Jungkook managed to utter and got up from the bed. Wen let the sleepy bunny to go first, as she was aware of his tendency of skipping every single thing to sleep, and she didn't want him to skip the dinner his Jinhyung prepared, nor the mint chocolate ice cream that they had checked first in the ice cream parlor. Jungkook sat on an empty chair while rubbing his eyes. Ah, that annoying Goyangi. You will be married to the most annoying person in the world. What happened? She's not annoying at all. Hobie looked at the maknae before shoving some food. Let it be, Hyung. It's a long story. Jungkook sighed and started eating his food. By the way, where is Mrs. Kim? At that moment, Van placed the mint chocolate ice cream tub on the table. I was craving for this. It's so... Van intentionally teased, and as expected, Jungkook reacted. Taehangi Hyung bought that for me. You little kitten, don't dare to touch that. Jungkook, stop. And Van, you have started it first, so hands up. No fighting. As the eldest interfered, Van and Jungkook both stopped. After a few moments of silence, they took the mint chocolate ice cream tub from Van and gave it to Jungkook. He is your guest, Van. This is all your household. Van didn't utter a single word, but Jungkook did. Is she the girl you are married to? They nodded and a small chuckle escaped from his lips.